This is a more advanced solar water heater. This is an evacuated tube solar water heater. And here's one of the evacuated or vacuum tubes. It's like the inside of a thermos bottle where you've got a tube within a tube and a vacuum pulled between them. The vacuum is a very good insulator. The inside tube is covered with a special called a selective coating. It's a black chrome coating that's a very good solar absorber but a poor emitter of heat. So the original system was, they called it the Sunmaster. It was built in New York, and they originally had the antifreeze solution going right down into this tube, getting heated up, and then coming back out. They had a glass tube that ran down the length of it inside here. And they had an O-ring seal around this where it plugged into the manifold, and the O-rings eventually leaked, and that's why this system was junked. I saved all this from going to the dump, actually. And what I'm doing is building these heat pipes to reclaim these systems and eliminate the leakage problem and the problem of having the antifreeze go right into the tube. I'm building these heat pipes, which is just a closed length of copper tubing that I'm putting a little bit of acetone in, 8 cc's of acetone, fills it up with liquid about to there. And the acetone boils at 130 degrees, so when this is down inside this tube and gets heated up, that acetone vaporizes and rises to the top of this bulb, which is all you see sticking out here, and it gives up its heat to the antifreeze that's going to be circulating through these two pipes, this manifold, and as it gives up its heat, it'll then condense and go back down to the bottom of this heat pipe and do the cycle all over again, just driven by sunlight, by the heat from the sun. This is a very efficient way to move heat pipes. They use them to keep the permafrost from thawing on the Alaska pipeline, as a matter of fact. It's a very, very simple system that works well. So I've saved these from going to the dump, and they're, I've got another one over here that's completed, or nearly completed. And I'm going to put this system on a friend's house down in Tuscumbia. And we're going to drive the circulator pump with a photovoltaic panel. So whenever the sun is shining, the photovoltaic panel makes the pump run, so you don't need any controls. A lot of these older systems were abandoned, like that collector I got out there. They were abandoned because they had complex controls on them. They had early microprocessors on them. And they got to where the controls failed. They couldn't find replacements because when Jimmy Carter went out of office, in the Reagan years, they stopped the tax incentives for solar. And a lot of these operators went under because people weren't able to afford them once the tax incentives went away. So a lot of these systems were abandoned. They couldn't find people to work on them, and they couldn't find the parts for them. So what I've been doing is taking systems that are nearly 30 years old and modernizing them by eliminating the controls and just using a photovoltaic panel to directly drive a pump. You didn't really have that available 30 years ago. So it's a way of using the basic components, but just modernizing the controls on them. I don't know what else to say.
Well, this is off topic, but how are those jars kept up there?
I've got a piece of aluminum. I got a piece of aluminum angle iron on the bottom here.
No, those jars.
Oh, those jars. Oh, I thought you meant these jars.
No, like that is a nifty little storage system.
You just put 2 screws into the lid.
Into the lid, and then you screw it in
and then
there.
you can just screw it on there. Yeah, it's just a way of trying to organize this chaotic mess in here.
But it's a great way to get them out of where they're in the way,
Yep.
and you can see them.
And you can see what's in them. Yep. Yep.
That's really cool, honey. Did you see that?
That's organizational aids. Anything I can do to help organize this chaos is a good thing.
Is that a homemade wood stove right there?
This is actually a waste oil burner. You know, I do all my own oil changes. We've got 4 vehicles on the road, tractor and lots of small engines and stuff. This is 3 truck rims. It's a very ugly thing, but it works really well.
Well, you know, there's beauty in that.
This is 3 old truck rims and the agitator, the bowl from a washing machine. You know, whatever it's called, the the tub from a washing machine. And it's just all welded together so that what I do is I take my waste oil, I dump it into this barrel, then with a hand crank I pump it up into that tank. It goes through a screen, really, it's not even a filter, but this is a way to separate the water out and screen any chunks out of it. And then it just feeds by gravity down into this, where it drips into a 8-inch cast iron fry pan I've got. And you get it started with a little kerosene, or I use stale gas. I've taken out old gas tanks, whatever. And once you get it warmed up, this thing will barely put out a little bit of gray smoke out of the stack, but you can get this whole stove just glowing cherry red, and without any electricity, or some of them use compressed air. This is the air intake, and it just drips oil down into the air intake into that fry pan, and it'll just fill this thing with flames. You can regulate the amount of fuel that goes through it, so it doesn't have to be glowing cherry red, but it will, this is uninsulated, leaky building, and it makes it bearable to work in here in cold weather.
Huh, interesting. I missed that, the first tour.
Well, I don't think I included it. It's so ugly I usually don't show it to people. But it's a way to use waste oil, and it's clean. Actually, the EPA encourages waste oil burners. I don't know if you know it, but we're fortunate in Wayne County to have a very good recycling center, better than Florence even, better than big cities. And they will take your waste oil, and if you go in the building, if you want to see it, they've got a commercially built waste oil heater that will heat that large building just from drain oil that people bring to them. So that's
Is it at the dump, at the Waynesboro dump?
At the, well, it's, yeah, that's
Where
not.
we go to take our recycling
Yes.
and stuff, it's there?
Yes, that's where it is, inside that building. And they accept, you know, drain oil but I mean, I burn in here, you know, transmission fluid, hydraulic oil, waste motor oil, and it does a good job.
Well, thank you for the tour.
Are we gonna look at the stained glass stuff?
If you want to, we do a little stained glass work in here. Again, this is a mess. It's greenhouse season, so we're not doing stained glass right now. So it's just kind of a place we throw things at the moment. But we do what people call sun catchers, although we like to do our own designs. We don't do other people's patterns. And Claudia does a lot of these panels. I do some of them, but most of them are Claudia's. I do kaleidoscopes. This is one of my favorites. This is fused and slumped glass, and it's a 2 mirror system. I do the mosaic tables. I showed you one inside. Claudia does a bunch of jewelry. Dichroic glass, special process glass jewelry. Whoops. That she does. It's stuff that really lights up in the sunlight, which we don't have in here. But this is something we do in the fall. We do the greenhouse in the spring, and then during the summer we'll come in here and hide in the air conditioning and make stuff. And then we do local shows up on the Trace and down in Florence, and sell our wares. Hopefully the economy will pick up by the fall, because this isn't the kind of thing people need. It's just the kind of thing they want, you know. Some people really love stained glass, and some people couldn't care less about it. But we like it. It's a fun thing. The way we got into it was we built the house, and we wanted some stained glass in the house.